What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Lean a Min Academy. Today, we're going to talk about 3 ways to dominate Google in 2025. I got my boy Chris Lonergan here on the line from Footbridge Media. He's got some things that you guys are going to be very interested in. They were talking about some AI, some Google, what is on the horizon for ranking and local service business, search traffic and leads as pressure washers, HVAC, landscaping. We all run off that lead flow coming in from our Google profiles and our website. Want to welcome Chris Lonergan on the line today. What's up, Chris?
How's it going, Aaron?
Good, man. Dude, the landscape is changing. AI is, bro, it's crazy what's capable. Just a simple YouTube search now leads down so many paths that are easily implementable. It's used to be that you remember the first days of like WordPress and coding website, probably even before that. It was difficult, bro. You had to have a skill. I mean, studying hours and hours, but it seems to be as we go, AI has made things that used to be very difficult almost at the push of a button.
So we level the playing field and taking away the technical need, the technical that training. It's really simplified that and condensed that down to if you know how to craft a good prompt, you can get some really good stuff generated out of AI.
Right. So we're talking about 3 ways to dominate Google this year. Let's talk about the first tried and true way. We all know this one, but I talk about a little bit about why it's being prioritized this year way over the years previously.
Google reviews are we've always known that Google reviews have been important. Over the last couple of years, we've seen more and more that Google's been taking a hard line on fake reviews, trying to identify people who are selling reviews and barter reviews, companies that are fraudulently creating reviews. That emphasis shows even more when they've culled more bad reviews and not so real reviews over the last few years than they have in the years combined previous. Google reviews are such a huge part of building up your prominence. So we talk about Google business profiles, we talk about relevance, distance, and prominence. Prominence is the one that you really have control over. I always tell contractors it's one of the factors that you got the most control over in your business operations. If you ask for more reviews, if you get more reviews, it will help you to rank better in Google Maps, period. Even if you get to the point where you're neck and neck with other competitors, even from a visual standpoint, or trying to influence conversions, having more reviews than your competitors in the Google listings, in the top three in the map pack, if you've got more reviews, chances are, even if you're in position number 2 or 3, you're going to get the first phone call. So Google reviews now more than ever, incredibly important. And that means you have to have an active review plan. You can't just sit back and wait for them to happen.
Absolutely. I know you guys are still partnered with BirdEye and that review platform. Talk a little bit about BirdEye because reviews are so much more important. They used to be important for social proof and stuff like that, that it holds now for ranking. Google used to have posting, right? You could post on GMB, right? Hey, post 3 times a week. And it would maybe move the needle a certain percent, but it was a small percent, right? But it was a percentage. And you had
Mhm.
photos, which are important, but it seems like Google has, since they've made getting reviews more difficult, culling fake reviews or bad reviews out of the picture. Whenever they start doing that, I find that they're going to start leaning or crutching on that metric as a ranking property, as a real ranking metric, right? Where they're basing it. They make it difficult for you guys, then that's what they're leaning towards. And that's something that you should focus on. Focus on what is difficult. What is Google making difficult for you? Chris, talk a little bit about what's gone the way of, we used to do it, but we don't do it anymore. What is that? Like Google posting and
Oh,
stuff of
gotcha.
that nature, like on GMB.
Yeah. So, I mean, there are all those tried and true things that we know absolutely work all the time, like Google reviews, like you said, Google categories. That's another one where if you change your category, you might get a re-verification trigger. So, again, if Google's making it difficult to make those changes, that's important. Google posting is a great example of something that at one point was shown by local SEOs to be a strong factor in helping you to improve your ranking over time. Then, of course, people figure that out and they abuse posting, and then it doesn't work so well anymore. So, posting isn't really as effective anymore. Having your service areas is very important for the sake of conversion. You want to make sure your service areas are accurately listed within your Google business profile. but that doesn't specifically impact the ranking of your business. In that regard, distance is still the most popular thing. Adding photos and pictures, that's great. There's some debate about the effectiveness there, but overall, that's really more of a conversion issue. It helps people to understand, especially if you're in a visual field, if you're in pressure washing, lawn and landscaping, you're a modeler, you've got really visual things that people are looking for, then posts and updating your pictures and videos is still important for converting a visitor to your Google business profile, but it's not as big a factor as it once was in ranking.
Got it. Guys, listen, I know we're going to have a good talk today. If you're looking to get your website done this year, Chris has always been a teammate of mine pretty much since I started my business. The guys over at Footbridge Media build a phenomenal contractor website. They only work on mobile contractors and guys who take a truck, they go somewhere, they do a job just like you and me, pressure washing, HVAC, plumbing, landscaping. They've been doing this since 2004. Give them a call. The number's scrolling down on the screen below. Save $600 a year on your Footbridge Media website. Tell them you saw this video and you'll save 600 bucks a year. They are the best in the business, probably one of the longest running contracting website companies in the US. And they're down in Pensacola, Florida to this day. So give them a call if you want to get started. Chris, let's talk about number 2. What is the second way to dominate Google in 2025?
This one is, I think, a little bit more the eating your veggies, but you still have to have a really strong website. A lot of people don't realize how impactful a website is, not just for your own organic success, but having a good website and a good organic presence, having good SEO tactics also helps your local ranking, helps your Google business profile to rank. So if you have content on your website that mentions specific cities, that can help Google business profiles to better understand, again, that prominence, that relevance of your business to a searcher's query. And that also means that Google learns more about you and can be more sure that you are the correct choice. So your organic success on your website impacts your Google business profile success.
Does Google business profile success impact the website?
Not as a direct link, no, one way.
Way. It's a
It's a
one
one
way.
way.
So
Yeah,
if your
you may get more
website
traffic, but you won't get improvement to your ranking the other way
got it.
around.
So if your website is quality and you rank really well and you have all of your service areas dialed in, Footbridge, you guys do all that. Have all that copy. Say I'm ranking, 2 zip codes over really high with my website, right? Relevance for that area. So potentially that would flow through because my Google business profile is cohesive to my website with the service areas that I provide. I have more of a potential of ranking in that area with my Google business profile as well because my website ranks there. Is that what you're
Yep,
saying?
absolutely, yeah, that organic ties directly into local success.
That's interesting. Guys, pay attention to that because a lot of people don't know that. And they think a website is separate from their, all of your 5-star reviews on your little map pack, right? The 3-pack that all of you guys are shooting for. The website does influence the ranking of the Google map pack that you're shooting for. And if you got a crappy website, you're not going to be ranking as many places. You want to get a quality website, have that stout foundation that it's pumping all of that power Google business profile. I think that's a definite dynamic that a lot of people miss.
That's a huge thing. It boils down to, like you said, the services that you have on your website, the cities that you have in your website, the projects you have on your website. All of those things feed into Google understanding how prominent you are in your community. Google's job at the end of the day is to make sure they're giving relevant content in their search results. Google wants you to come back. The more you come back to Google, the more you get served ads, the more money Google makes. So they want you to come back. And that's a way to reassure Google algorithmically that you are the right choice.
Now that I've gotten established with Footbridge and done the things that they've told me to do, dude, I'm making more revenue than I was making in my old profession.
Having your website content on point and having that match your Google business profile listing. So you've got city service areas you have on your website. Make sure those are on your Google Business profile. You've got services you offer. Make sure those same services on your Google Business profile. Sometimes when you do searches for a vendor, you might see in the Google Business profile results words bolded from your
Mm.
search, bolded in the review. So if you typed in house washing near me, it does that because it understands. You also sometimes will see this company says they offer house washing on their website as
Yeah.
part of a Google Business Profile thing. Google shows you how deeply interconnected all of that is and how Google is crawling a lot of information, not just on Google Business Profiles, but on your website, on places like Yelp and BBB, places outside of your site, to all make this network of trying to understand who you are and who should rank number one.
Are you saying that the address on the website needs to be exactly the same? Meaning down to the period, down to the how would I say this? The abbreviations, right? Like as Google Business Profile.
I'm a big fan of spoon feeding information to Google because it's gotten better. The context has gotten better with addresses. But if you, especially if you've got things like unit numbers or suite
Right.
numbers, anything that might be a point of confusion, just be careful and make it as exact as possible. So you don't have to worry about Google missing out. I've seen issues before where there's a business located on W Street and then Google thought W stood for West. So it was looking for West
Oh,
Street. Little things can still get confused in the middle. So spoon feed as much information as you can. For example, when we code websites, we use what's called schema. It's nothing you see as a user on a website. It's a little tag we put on your address so that Google and search engines can understand this information is the business address. This information is the business code. This is the business logo. So that if you have a business profile, a knowledge panel, that logo can match and correlate. So there's lots of little things in the background that help connect your Google organic presence to your local business presence, to your overall understanding with Google on how you should rank and where you should fit when Google's trying to figure out what website answers this search query.
got it. That was well said. Chris, what's the third thing? This is the new futuristic stuff, all the good juice that everybody's wanting. Let's talk about AI a little bit. What's the third way to dominate Google in
We
2025?
We've been getting a lot of questions about AI search results. Google has got its generative search. ChatGPT has its own AI based search now. A common question is how do I make sure my business is going to still survive and show up in the age of AI search? A lot of times, contractors are protected for that right now because local search results don't have as much AI, but that I think is ultimately going to be more and more AI based. What's really interesting is that one of the best ways you can make sure you're featured in a Google search generative answer. So when you do a search and AI gives you a little answer at the top there, the content that is generated there is generally sourced or influenced by the top 30 links that normally would have shown up organically. Pages 1, 2, and 3 on that Google search helps to feed Google information. And from there, it makes a decision on how to answer and create its Google generative response. So if you rank in the top 30 of Google for a specific search result, your website, your content may help to influence the AI generated answer. It could mean you get a link in the AI generated answer so that you could still get some visibility. You can still get a possible click through if people want more information, especially for contractors. They want to ask a question, get an answer, but also ultimately want the link of someone who can help. So, number one, if you're trying to rank it for Google generative search, it's very important to still have good organic practices. You want to rank in the top 3 pages of Google. For ChatGPT search, the way that LLMs work, these large language models of AI, uh, they are basically doing searches, on a fairly regular basis, crawling the web. For you to show up on the radar, you have to have good branding as a company. So the companies that show up most often are going to be those companies that have the most breadth and width. They don't have just a website. They don't have just a Google business profile. They don't have just a Facebook page. They need to be all over. They need to be active. They need to have links from local news sites or maybe local websites or local blogs, next doors here and there, and Facebook groups. Ultimately, you want to make sure you've got really good brand exposure, that your business is as widespread as possible to influence showing up in Google and AI based searches.
Dude, that is the final frontier.
The AI search stuff is kind of nutty. I've really enjoyed playing with it. on the branding side of things, we'll get folks that be like, "Yeah, we found you from did a search on ChatGPT for electrician marketing. You guys showed up." Awesome. The
Just search
AI
on
thinks we're cool.
ChatGPT.
And the crazy thing is that it just keeps growing, it keeps changing. Before we started the call, we talked a little bit about this new Google Lab experiment that's come out that's really insane. This Ask for Me concept, which is a brand new beta thing, has the potential to transform how small businesses get leads.
Talking about the availability, Google making a call for you. This is hard
It's
to understand if you haven't been down this road.
so it's very it's Google Labs is basically an experimental part of Google. So features you can turn on and off. Um, I'm a Google nerd, so I've subscribed to Google Ads, so I get a bunch of these notifications. And Ask for Me is one that's released maybe within weeks. It was definitely at the top of 2025 was released. Essentially, it works right now only with nail salons and auto repair shops. You go through the web portal or your Google search page when you've got the experiment turned on, and you could say, okay, here's where I am, or this is where I live, and I'm interested in an oil change. Google will then do research for you. Will have its Google's AI will call these local businesses, will call the auto shops near you, and it's based on the Google business profiles of businesses that are near you. It will call them, it will interact with them on the phone and ask information about pricing for an oil change. And if that person on the phone replies back with availability details, Google synthesizes, and they send you a text or an email that has a summary of the response that the person on the phone delivered to Google and a link to their Google business profile. And it'll do this for 5 businesses. So with the touch of a button, you can talk to 5 different businesses and get competitive quotes and scheduling details for a service. It's only for auto folks and nail salons right now, but they say that more is coming soon. I feel like home services would be a really good test market to expand into.
For those businesses that have a finite pricing model, I think a new addition to the home, like a renovation, is gonna be kinda hard to
Right.
automate. I don't see that coming soon. What's an oil change? That's $100, or if you got a 6-7 Super Duty, it's $300. Oh, what's a nail, to get your nails done? It's $50 or $100. They have cut and dry pricing to where this model can reach out on your behalf and get easy quotes, availability. It's really quick conversions. You know what I mean? They're quick, finite conversions. I think that's probably why they're starting with these types of industries. It's a good proof of concept that this is a viable channel they want to run down.
Yeah, absolutely. I think of drain cleaning guys or, AC tune-up guys who they may have granted, it could be more, but they could say starting at $29.99, starting at $59.99. Those kinds of
Yeah.
industries that have, or lawn guys might be another good example. If Google can get information from you about the size of your property, or heck, Google could just probably already know your address and can look at Google Maps and do the math on how much grass you have.
That's
So
crazy.
I think
That's
that's kind of the future of those kinds of interactions. Maybe Google knows your address, it knows the approximate age of your HVAC system, so it can communicate that when it's making those phone calls for you.
so you're
It's
saying that
very interesting where it can go.
potentially contractors, if SEOs are getting involved, SEOs are always trying to figure out a way to hack the system. It's like somewhere on your website, it's basically like, we charge this much per 500 square feet of grass being cut. Those bots, those little spider bots crawling, looking for pricing, it automates the search. It sees the Google house that you're in. It sees the house on Google Maps. It knows the size of the yard. It's automated call, right? It pulls the information from your website that says, oh, we charge $20 per 500 square feet of grass being cut. It does the math. It sends the person a text and says, this is roughly what the cost is going to be for this specific area in your yard.
I could definitely see something like that happening. I mean, we already communicate so much information, like with schema, like we talked about. Maybe in the future, we're going to have service pricing specific schema. So we could say all drain cleaning start at this cost, that all house washing starts at this cost for this size of a house.
Right.
We can have some bare parameters that Google's AI can then take and use to try to book you a lead. And then who knows how they're going to charge for that.
We talked about this before the call. I wonder if Google will give developers something on its back end where developers have to pull a certain block of code and fill in this block with these things. And that's what the spider bots will be looking for, as they crawl. They're looking for that specific block of code. And it'll give you maybe unlimited space to put whatever you want, or it may say these are the things that you must fill in the blanks for. We'll fill in,
For Google AI interaction. Yeah.
we'll give you the beginning of it, like per square foot, or this is what it's starting at cost. And then you have to enter a number. You have to just like fill in the blank. I don't know how open source they're going to allow. It's cool to speculate as to what AI is doing, and the possibilities are endless. If somebody's hiring you as a contractor, they won't even have to really look at their phone more than one time. They're not going to have to make calls to you. They're not going to have to do a lot of this stuff that we
Oh
have to
yeah.
do now.
If anything, your Google AI will talk to your contractor marketing AI and
Yeah,
and book the
right.
call, and it'll attach to your banking information, and it'll be all done.
Dude, I'm very interested because there's a lot of ways this could be convoluted and just difficult. But I know there's a way it's going to really come down to who owns, like Google owns the internet, right? So it's like, who is going to be the person who puts their flag on the moon, on this moon, and says, this is the protocol everybody's going to run by? Because Google My Business is a thing. We don't say Yahoo My Business. We don't say DuckDuckGo My Business, right? Google stayed ahead of the curve. They stayed ahead of all these others. See, some of you think Google's the only one. No, Google works like somebody is chasing them. That's how they work. And you may think, well, nobody's going to beat Google. Google doesn't think that way. Google thinks there's a lot of people who could beat them, and they work to circumvent those attacks that haven't even happened yet. They stay on the cutting edge for that reason. Because if you ever get complacent, that's when you get taken down.
Mhm.
So it's going to be very interesting. I don't know if it'll be Sam Altman and ChatGPT, because DeepSeek AI and just showing how open source AI can become quickly, like so fast. It
It
went
went
from
from nobody knowing what DeepSeek was to everybody, and like I think my grandmother probably knows what DeepSeek is.
everyone was like, "Oh no, you gotta buy ChatGPT. It costs $20 a month," and DeepSeek is like, "No, we run this on a Raspberry Pi." You're like, you gotta
This is
have
ru-
a whole
this is
web.
running on a Casio calculator.
He said, "No, you got in order to do what we do, you gotta have a whole warehouse NVIDIA server, sucking up a lot of energy. No, you just need a Raspberry Pi to whoop that ass." I'm like, damn. How long did it take us to get with cell phones and stuff like that? It took like 20 years or so to go from a Nokia brick to the iPhone, and AI did it in like 6 months from big warehouse needed to Raspberry Pi. You're
Yep.
like, wow, that's moving so fast, bro. So thank you, Chris, for coming on the line today. Guys, listen, if you want to get your website done, you want the pros over at Footbridge to do it, I would recommend it. They have a great deal over there. It's $199 a month if you use the lean and mean deal. And if you don't, you'll be paying $249 a month. We didn't really touch on this, but they also give you a review aggregation software called BirdEye. BirdEye is amazing. If you were to pay for BirdEye software, it's like $300 to $400 a month. That is actually going to be included for free. Correct, Chris? Yeah, you get the website at $199 a month. They build the whole thing. They write all the content for you. You just tell them what you do and where you're located, and Footbridge kind of takes the reins. Do what they tell you to do. They're going to help you out a lot. You also get BirdEye to tag onto that for free. You're not paying all that money. This software will send texts to your old clients with a link to review you on Google Business Profile. It keeps everything synced up and available. It also auto-populate to your website as well, if that's something that you want. I'm sure that's available. Whenever somebody leaves a review, it'll populate. So everything stays cohesive in this environment of ranking. in getting leads.
You got to do the things that you know are always going to work. You got to work on those reviews, and you got to make sure you are thinking ahead to how your business is going to perform through the whole rest of this year and moving forward to the future.
Thanks again, Chris. We'll see you guys in the next video.